Hi folks, welcome to episode 1 of your personal best exercise program. Over the next 8 weeks, myself and Pete will be bringing through 8 training sessions that are designed to help you feel a little bit better, definitely move a little bit better, and if we're lucky, look a little bit better. Okay, let's get going. Okay guys, for today's training session, we have 4 warm-up exercises that we're going to do 2 rounds of. Okay, they're going to just get the body and get the mind sort of warmed up for what's coming later on in our actual training session. Okay, so with Pete here, we're going to start with 8 squats. Okay, so the coaching points on this, we're going to try and get him to stay up nice and tall, and instead of just dropping his hips, we're going to I want you to think about sitting back into your favorite chair, okay, and back up. All right, and in order to do that, when he squats down, he's going to push his hands out to counterbalance those hips coming back. All right, so I want you to go nice and slow, Pete. All right, and just take your time. 1, good, and up nice and tall. Only going down really as far as he feels comfortable, okay? So we're keeping the tummy muscles nice and tight, and he's sitting back, and when we finish, I want him just to squeeze his glutes at the top, so locking out these quads. We're gonna go 3 more. 2, 3, and take a break, Pete. Brilliant. Now, for our second exercise, as everyone's just recovering there, is a reverse lunge, okay? So it's gonna help us open up the front of the legs, it's gonna challenge up our knees and our hips and all that good stuff. So, on this one, I'm gonna get Pete to step back nice and far on his right leg, and then he's gonna drop his back knee straight down. So that's 1, and then back up to standing. Now, we're gonna alternate between the left and the right, so he's coming back on the opposite leg. 2, and back up to standing, really good. 3. So what I will say on this one is, when he's dropping down, he's getting nice and low into that. And if you're finding that there's a little bit of a block through the front of your leg here, okay, don't panic. Only go down to a point where you can feel that there's a little bit of a bite on it, okay? There's no absolute rush and there's no need to go down to a point where you feel like it's getting a little bit sore. Good, and we're gonna do 1 more, Pete. And break. Perfect. Now, our next exercise, I'm gonna get Pete to sit down on the mat, okay? So if you at home want to sit down on the mat, I'm gonna get just to lie down, feet flat on the ground and hands down by your sides, okay? So we're gonna go with a hip bridge on this one. We're gonna do 8 of them. And what we need to do here is to switch on these glutes a little bit, okay? And to open up the front of the hips, okay? So Pete's gonna start pushing his hips off the ground. He's using his feet here. His feet are flat on the ground, squeezing at the top, using his hands as well, and dropping back down. So that's 1, excellent. 2, really good. So you're gonna feel 2 things. You're gonna feel your ass start to kick on. 4, and you're gonna feel the front of the hips, the front of the legs start to loosen out a little bit, okay, which is really beneficial. So anyone who's got a little bit of a backache, a little bit of a sore, twingy back, this is an absolute must to try and relieve a bit of pain on that. And we're gonna get you to do 2 more, Pete. 2, and break. Now, for our next exercise, I'm gonna get Pete to turn over, and he's gonna come into a press-up position, okay? So this is a challenging position for anybody, okay? So there's 2 positions that we can do this in, right? We're gonna go to the more difficult one, and then halfway through, I'm gonna break him down into the slightly more modified one on his knees, okay? So into a press-up position, okay? So on this, we need to get Pete to tighten up his abs, to squeeze his quads here. And what we're gonna do is tap the opposite shoulder, okay? So he's gonna do 4 taps, and then we're gonna modify it down to make it a little bit easier. 2, good. No movement through the hips, so imagine there's a pint of Guinness on his back, all right? And we're trying to not spill it at all. Now, from there, I'm gonna get Pete to come down onto the knees, okay? So same thing, we're still challenging through our shoulders and our core, but we're just taking a little bit of pressure off the hip, and we're gonna just go onto either side of the legs. 2, really good. 3, 4, and break. Perfect. So that's round 1. We're gonna jump back up, and we're gonna go through that again, okay? So again, the thing to focus on here is we're warming the body up, but it's also helping you guys to just warm the brain up a little bit as to what's coming in the session. Right, so we're back down into those 8 squats. So suck in the tummy muscles, sit back into your favorite seat, and when you come up, lock out the legs, squeeze the glutes. That's 1, good. 2, now take your time on this, we're not in a rush at all. 3, 4, good. Pushing the knees out nice and wide. 5, sit back onto the heels. 6, 7, well done, and 8. Excellent work. Now, bringing the 2 feet together, so we're back into our reverse lunges. So again, remember, we're taking a big step back, find your big toe and you're trying to drop your knee down as far as you can comfortably do, okay? So let's go, Pete. Step back. 1, keeping the chest up nice and high. 2, good. Trying to suck in your belly button, okay? That'll keep the pelvis, keep your core nice and strong. 4, brilliant. 5, and again, if it starts to open up, you can drop that knee a little bit deeper. 6, good. 7, and 8, excellent. Now, from there, we're all gonna get down onto the mat and we're into our hip bridges again, okay? So again, this is probably the one exercise that you really feel you're getting a bit of feedback through the glutes, okay? So, core nice and strong, hands down by your sides, and I'm gonna get you to push the hips up. So drive it up, and again, squeeze at the top. 1, we've got 8 of these guys to do. 2, brilliant work. 3, don't be afraid to use your hands, okay? They're there to help you. 4, 5, keeping the feet flat on the ground. 6, 7, 1 more, and 8. Excellent. Now, we're back around into that press-up position, okay? So roll over, and again, we'll come back into that press-up position. So we're gonna try and go for the more difficult 8 reps in the full press-up on this one. So, come down, okay? Suck in the tummy muscles, keep the hips nice and high, all right? And squeeze these quads. So, touch the opposite shoulder. 1, good. And again, our imaginary pint of Guinness or boiling water, whichever motivates you more, keep it nice and controlled so we don't spill it. Good, and 2 more. 2, and break. Well done. Okay, so just to get a little bit of mobility into our training session, I'm gonna get Pete just to take a knee, okay? So literally, like he's genuflecting at the altar, okay? So this is a hip flexor stretch, okay? So we talked a little bit about opening up the front of the hips and getting the glutes going, all right? So this is just gonna help us do that a little bit more. So we're down here, I'm gonna get him to suck in his tummy muscles here, and I'm gonna get him to squeeze his glute here, okay? We're gonna get him just push a small bit forward onto that hip, all right? So as you push forward, you're gonna feel the front of that leg just open up, all right? It doesn't feel uncomfortable, but you'll just feel it stretch open. Now, to increase that a small bit, I'm gonna get him to reach with that right hand up nice and high, okay? So now that stretch is it's amplified a little bit. So it's come from the front of this leg up into his tummy muscles as well. So it's that little bit of tightness is just coming out of it. And we push through. And we're gonna hold that for 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're gonna get him to change over legs. So, same thing, that leg comes up, suck in the tummy muscles, okay? Squeeze the glute, okay? And push that hip forward, okay? So this hip flexor stretch is gonna open up the front of it, and I'm gonna get him to reach with that left hand up nice and high. So again, really commit to that reach up, and you'll feel that stretch just intensify a small bit and just open up that little bit more. And we're gonna hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and break. Now, our next exercise, or our next stretch, is a quad stretch. So what you'll generally see is, if you kind of cast your mind back to when you maybe played football, is a whole load of lads standing at a gate, just pulling the leg up here, okay? It's effectively that, but we're just gonna do it slightly differently, maybe a little bit more effectively. So I'm gonna get you just to lie on your side, Pete. Okay, so down as if he's gonna go asleep now. Gonna get him to put this right hand and grab the inside of his left leg. Right, so again, same thing, core nice and strong. He's squeezing his glute here, and we're trying to get this knee back as far as we possibly can. So if we took a plumb line from this hip down, we want to see that knee back beyond that hip, okay? This isn't nice, it's a bit gross, okay? So if you're kind of following us here on the camera and this feels like it's a walk in the park, you're probably doing it a bit wrong, so pull that knee back a little bit more. Common mistake is if you have a little look down and you see that your knee is kind of flying high, okay? It shouldn't be like that. So bring it down so that everything's in a nice line as much as you possibly can, all right? And we're gonna hold that for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Brilliant, Pete. And we're gonna swap over, so we'll get your head up this way. Now, same thing, okay? It can be a little bit awkward kind of setting this one up, right? But give it a couple of episodes and you'll be fine, right? Now, grab that and pull it back, okay? So again, same thing. His knee's not flying up in the air, it's nice and in line with his hip, and he's trying to pull it back as far as he can. We're gonna hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and break. Now, from that position, okay, we're gonna keep the knees together, all right? So I want you to imagine that there's like an orange in between your two knees and you're trying to squeeze it. We're gonna bring his hands out to sort of 3 o'clock, all right? As if he's saying his prayers. And we're gonna get him just to rotate to the top of this hand, right the way around. So it's just gonna open up the top of his of his upper back, all right? So it gets really, really tight. So let's go, Pete. So around, okay? So again, Pete's not the youngest man on the planet, right? And back around. So he's a little bit tight and a little bit stiff through there, okay? Which is really, really common. This is something that we're gonna try and build on episode, right? And try and open this up. But what he's doing really well is he's squeezing his knees together, okay? So he's not allowing himself to cheat through here, and he's keeping his opposite hand on the deck, okay? So when you come around here, the stretch gets quite high. Don't try and force it. Instead, just take a deep breath and try and relax into it. We'll go 1 more. And break. Good work. Now, we're gonna swap them around and we're gonna do the opposite side. So the setup is the very same, okay? Bring the knees up to that kind of 90, okay? Say your prayers out at 12 o'clock and then rotate through the top hand. So just take that top hand over, and what you're really trying to do is bring your wrist down onto the ground, okay? For some of us, that'll be fine. For some of us, we're gonna struggle with it, okay? Pete's not quite getting down there just yet. He's a little bit better on this side, but it's gonna take a little bit of work. And we're gonna go 3 more. Good work. And again, watching that the knees don't creep up, okay? We're still trying to squeeze that orange between the knees. Good. And we're gonna go 1 more. Excellent work. And it's tough, but it's actually a nice stretch. You'll feel a lot better after doing this one. And break, Pete. Okay, so we're into the main body of our actual training session here. So we've done a warm-up, we've done our mobility, so we should be feeling pretty good. So there's no surprises in our training session, okay? Lots of the stuff that you're gonna see in the actual training session, we'll have covered in the warm-up, okay? So that's kind of getting the mind, getting the body ready for where we are. Now, we're gonna start off with 8 squats, okay? So like I said, this is exactly what we did in the warm-up, so nothing different. So let's go, Pete. Sit back into the hips and back up and squeeze the glutes. 1, good. 2, only going down to a point where you're actually happy enough with it, okay? So don't worry about the depth, right? The main thing is that we're sitting back onto our heels and we're squeezing our glutes and locking out our quads at the top. 2 more. 1, good. 2, excellent. Now, our next exercise, we're gonna come down into that press-up position, okay? So we're back into those shoulder taps, okay? And again, we're gonna do 8. Remember, the focus here is locking out our quads, sucking in our tummy muscles, all right? And try not to spill or imaginary pint of Guinness off your back. Okay, Pete, so we got 8 of them to do. 1, good. 2, 3, really strong through your feet. 4, 5, good. 6, excellent. 7, and 8. Now, from there, I'm gonna get everyone just to lie down on the ground, all right? So, hands out, feet out. Now, call these prone Ys, okay? They've got different names, all right? But basically what we're trying to do is just open up this back, get the kind of the back of your shoulder blades working a little bit, okay? So, we're gonna imagine that we're skydiving. So Pete, I'm gonna get you just to lift your chest up off the ground and try and lift your quads off the ground, okay? So what you find here is working really hard through the glutes, working really hard through the back here as well. Now, I'm gonna get him to pull his hands back, right? So just bring his hands out like he's a Y and try and catch a pencil through his shoulder blades. 1, and back out. Good. Pull back. 2, okay? So as you come back here, it's a bit of a challenge, all right? But it should feel kind of nice. You might even get a couple of little clicks or pops in here, all right? Nothing to be worried about, okay? Pull back through it. Good. We're gonna do 3 more. 1, good. Pull back through those shoulder blades. 2, excellent, and it should open up a little bit as well for you. And 3, super work. And break. Now, we're gonna go back into our squats here, okay? So we're all standing back up, okay? We're a little bit more familiar now with the movement pattern, okay? So we sort of know where we're going. We're still not adding any real pace into it, okay? So take your time with it. Now back into our squats. So we've got 8 squats to do here again. So sit back, up, and squeeze, right? So you're sitting back into your favorite chair and getting up nice and tall. 2, good. 3, and I'm seeing Pete's knees. I don't want them to come forward, so if you look down, that's 4. You should be able to see your toes the whole time. 5, good. Back onto the heels. 6, excellent. 7 and 8, excellent work. Now from there we're back down and we're into our shoulder taps again. So remember, we're doing this in the kind of the slightly harder position here, which is that full press up position, okay? If you're finding that you're getting a little bit tired here, you can just drop down onto your knees like we did into the warm up, okay? And that'll take a little bit of the pressure off, okay? But we're not gonna be that nice to Pete, so we're gonna get him straight back into that press up position and we're gonna get him to touch the opposite shoulders. Good, 1. So it'll be like a broken record by the end of this, okay? The main focus here is our imaginary pint of Guinness, okay? That it's not spilling. So ask yourself, are you getting a full pint at the end of this or just a half pint, okay? Pete's doing pretty well. Good, he's got 8 to do. Now, from there, he's back down, hands out into that Y position, okay? So he's going skydiving. So lift the legs up, chest up as well, okay? And we're gonna pull through these shoulder blades, pull them back. You probably find now that they're a little bit more open. They're probably moving around your shoulder blades or moving around your ribs just a small bit better. So it should feel a little bit nicer on this one. Good, that's 3. 4, excellent. Trying to keep the quads up the whole time. 5, 6. And again, that kind of cue of just trying to catch the pencil through your shoulder blades. 7, and 1 more. 8, excellent. Now, we're back up onto our feet, okay? And this is our last round of this circuit, okay? So we're back into our squats again, followed by those shoulder taps, followed by those prone Ys, okay? So let's sit back into those hips. 1, good. 2, excellent. So what you find with training is it's repetition, 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 okay? So we're gonna be doing lots of the same stuff. There's gonna be no sneaky kind of change ups very quickly in this program, which is nice. Good. So he's got 8 to do, sitting back into the hips, keeping his chest nice and tall the whole time. Good. Now, from there, we're back down into that shoulder tap. So, core nice and strong, strong through the feet, and let's tap away here. 1, excellent. 2, really strong through his hips, and he's feeling his core working really hard. 4, 5, brilliant. 6, 7, really good, and 8. Now, down into that lying position, okay? And again, we're into that kind of skydiving thing. So we're lifting up the legs, lifting up the chest, and pulling through those shoulders. 1, and it feels pretty good now, okay? Everything will have loosened up that little bit. 2, pull through. 3, excellent. And he's bringing his elbows in really tight the whole way around. 4, 5, super work. 6, good work. We've got 2 more, and then we're at the end of our first circuit in our training session. Good. And 1 more, and break. Okay, so for circuit 2, okay, again, not trying to sneak or surprise attack anybody. We're gonna go back to one of the exercises that we did in our warm-up, and we're gonna go with our reverse lunges, okay? So, feet together, and we're gonna get Pete to step back, okay? What we'll find here is after a little bit of mobility, and after doing it in the warm-up, good, and up nice and tall, everything should be a little bit looser, okay? So you should find that you're dropping down through that knee a little bit more, okay? We're getting Pete to keep up nice and tall. Good, that's 4, we've got 8 to do. 5, good, nice and controlled, no one's in a rush here. 6, 7, good. And 8, excellent. Now, our next exercise, again, going back to what we did in the warm-up, we're gonna go into our bridge. So I'm gonna get everyone just to lie down. So Pete's gonna sit down onto the mat, hands down by the sides, core nice and strong, and he's gonna bridge up here for 8. Okay, so drive it up, squeeze the glutes, and come back down, okay? So again, you should find that everything's a little bit more open, a little bit easier to activate. 3, take your time. 4, excellent. 5, super work. 6, good. 2 more. 7, brilliant. And 8, all right? This is probably one of the most important exercises we're gonna do for the next couple of weeks, okay? Whether it's in the warm-up or in the work set, okay? So this is one that we really need to focus on, okay? Now, from there, we're gonna activate the tummy muscles a little bit. So I'm gonna get Pete to turn over, and we're gonna go into a front plank, okay? So this is really tough, okay? So hands down, he's saying his prayers out front, and he's down into that kind of press up position that we were doing with the shoulder taps, okay? So we're not gonna do anything fancy here, okay? Pete's obviously quite good at this, so I'm gonna sort of talk around him and let him suffer a small bit, all right? But what I would say is, if this is a big challenge, okay, hold it for 3 or 4 seconds and then drop the knees down, take a bit of pressure, okay? And then we're gonna come back up again and hold. Okay, so take a tiny bit of a breather, Pete, all right? That's the way we're gonna program this at the time, right? We're gonna do 5 of those little pulses with short holds, okay? And we're gonna build it into something that we're holding for a longer duration, okay? In kind of the next couple of episodes. Okay, so we're down into this position, knees are on the ground, so we're gonna lift them, hold, and we're gonna hold for 3, 2, 1, and we're gonna drop it down. That's 1, and back up again, hold, 3, 2, 1, that's 2, excellent, and back up, hold, 3, 2, 1, that's 3, excellent. We've got 5 to do, so back up, 3, 2, 1, that's 4, and 1 more, 3, 2, 1, that's 5, and break, perfect. So we're back up, and we're back into our reverse lunges again, okay? So shake the legs out, okay? Take a little bit of recovery if you need it, grab a little bit of a drink, okay? And we're back into our reverse lunges, okay? So let's rock and roll now in 3, 2, 1, and step back. Now take your time, good, 1, step back, good. Chest up nice and high, 2, 3, good. So he's stepping back and then he's slowly dropping that knee, 4, 5, excellent work, 6, 7, brilliant, and 1 more, 8, good. Now, shake the legs out, okay? And we're back down into those bridges, okay? So, ass on the mat, hands down by our sides, core nice and strong. We're gonna drive the hips up for 8 reps, okay? So push through. 1, good. 2, excellent work. Buns of steel after this one. 3, good work, Pete. 4, and again, use the hands, okay? Make sure you're pushing through the hands. 5, 6, super work, 7, and 8. Brilliant work. Okay, now from there, let's turn around onto our front. Take your time moving. We're not in a panic, okay? And let's get down into that front plank position. So hands together, you're saying your prayers out in front. We're gonna lift and we're gonna hold for 3, 2, 1, and drop the knees. Take a little bit of pressure off, okay? Now let's come back up. 3, 2, 1, that's 2. Take the pressure off, take a deep breath, back up. 3, 2, 1, that's 3, super stuff. Up again. 3, 2, 1, that's 4. Excellent work, guys. We got 1 more. Up. 3, 2, 1, and break. Excellent work, okay? We're back up onto our feet. This is our last round, okay? So this is our last round in circuit 2, which is effectively the end of the session apart from a little bit of a cool down. So, taking a step back into that reverse lunge, okay? 1, good. Opposite side. 2, 3, really good. 4, excellent. 5, again, keeping the chest up nice and high and controlling that knee drop. 6, 7, well done. And 8, perfect. Okay, from there, we're back down on the mat. And we're back into those hip bridges. So again, like I said, this is the most important exercise that we're gonna do for the next week or 2. So drive it up, good, and squeeze those glutes and back down, okay? And you're probably feeling at this point, if you haven't done a whole lot up until this point, you're probably feeling that like they're getting a little bit tired. That's okay. 3, good. 4, excellent. Pete's pushing through his hands there as well. 5, super work. 6, 7, really good. And 1 more, 8, excellent. Now, we're flipping over into that front plank again. It's the last time we're gonna do this one. Okay, so hands out in front, saying your prayers. Now, so we're gonna hold, all right? So 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees, take a little bit of pressure off the tummy muscles. Up we go again. 3, 2, 1. That's 2. Excellent. Up we go. 3, 2, 1. That's 3. Super stuff. Push through the feet. 3, 2, 1. That's 4. We've got one more. Well done, guys. 3, 2, 1, and break. Super stuff. Well done, guys. Okay, that is our episode 1 training sessions done. We're just going to do a little bit of mobility now just to finish it off, just to make sure we're helping the muscles just to recover, okay? We're going to go back to 2 exercises really simply, all right? So Pete, we're going to go back down to that hip flexor stretch. We're going to drop down through that knee, all right? Now, same thing as before, we're going to keep the core nice and tight. We're going to get him to squeeze this glute, and we're going to get him to bring that right hand up, all right? So try and touch the ceiling, all right? Nice and strong through here, okay? So the muscles are a little bit warm now, okay? So we're just trying to take advantage of that, right? And just open things out a little bit, okay? It'll help us just to train that little bit harder. It'll help us not to feel too stiff and sore tomorrow. 2, 1, and swap it over. Brilliant work. Now, core nice and strong, and then reach to that left hand. Good, and we're getting Pete just to push through the front of that hip, okay? So again, all the pressure is just along that hip, down along that quad. 3, 2, 1, brilliant. And then we're going to go back into that quad stretch, okay? So we're lying on our side, and we're grabbing the back of our leg, grabbing our ankle here, and we're just pulling that knee back as much as we can, all right? And again, big stretch through here. It's not the most comfortable of stretches, okay? So like I said before, if you're finding that this is just a walk in the park and you're thinking about what you're going to watch on telly after this, you're just doing a little bit wrong. Try and just pull that knee back a small bit more, and it'll just get a little bit of an increase through the stretch, and then swap it over. We're nearly there, all right? Stick with us. The stretching at the end is so important. Now, pull that knee back, core nice and strong, okay? So his knee is nice and in line, and we're pulling it back, and we're holding for 3, 2, 1, and break. Well done, guys. Super work. That's session 1 done. Guys, well done on making it through the first episode. We will definitely see you back for the second episode. Just to note, this is the hardest part, all right? Starting something like this is always the hard part, all right? It shouldn't have been too scary, and none of them are going to be that scary going forward, all right? So eat well, recover well, and we'll see you for episode 2.